would like to welcome to our studios here at Calabash TV, Kayode James of Real 3D Printing. Kayode, welcome to Calabash TV.
Thank you for having me.
And Kayode, we met you a while back when you started your business, participating in exhibitions. And from day one, we were quite impressed with what you're doing with your 3D printing. And we've pleasantly surprised to know that you've continued in this business and you've grown and you've created a wide range of products and so on. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first of all, Kayode, give us an idea. How did you get this idea? What influenced you to start it?
Okay, no problem. So my background is as an individual at core has always been from like school days, secondary, primary, and tertiary level, a hustler. You know, like I always just had a passion for investing in different things to make an extra dollar and stuff like that. Believe it or not, at Sir Arthur, I registered my very first business there, and it was a marketing consultancy business. That's when social media was just on the rise and being adapted for business places. So I actually learned more catering to certain clients. What I understood certain concepts in school better and brought it back to the classroom, if you understand where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. So moving along, I had my first, and by God's grace, my last job back in 2016. And as time progressed, like I was at first happy with it because I accomplished a lot in 6 months working there. I got promoted a couple times and everything like that. But then the feeling of me having to count down days, like I had just a little epiphany, you should say. Like I was counting down weekends, 5 o'clock, sick days, vacation time, and I was like, I'm not really feeling like me, you know. So then at that point I was like, nah, I have to really, I miss the feeling of what it was like, you know, going out there and making some extra money and stuff like that, you know. So I just took a notepad one day behind my desk and started scribbling different business ideas, and I was bouncing it off a couple co-workers, you know. And then the business that I was actually more interested in starting was something like a online, not online, but a magazine kind of vibe. Like you could order, basically we distributed in various business places, outlets and companies, and you could, what you see on the page or the pages, you could order it in real time and get it in 2 days, you know, down here, well, locally. But then when I pitched that idea to a friend of mine, a coworker, he told me, why not do something different? It was that and opening up a store. He said, why not do something different? And I was like, well, I always like to stay, you know, stand out in whatever I do. And so it was like, all right, I went back behind my desk, and then after some time, like I always say, it was God sent. The voice just went 3D printing, and I was like, a light bulb went off. At that point, you know, I just started typing in Google and everything, and just started doing my research. And from there, it took me about 2 months to understand what it's doing globally, the strides it's made in around the world, and these kind of things, and how available it is on a consumer level, as well as, you know, a business as a startup and everything like that. And that research took place in November of 2016, and by December of 2016 I registered the business and invested in my first 3D printer. Yeah.
You remember what was the first thing you printed?
Yeah, it was a figurine we received from a local artist, a CG artist down here. It was one of his unique creations, like a little monster. And when we set it up and everything like that, mind you, I was really excited when I had the printer. But when I opened it up, took it off, I took a couple steps back because I didn't realize it really not looking nothing like your traditional paper and ink printer. Right. So I was just like, how am I going to do it? When I walked around it, got through it, set it up, and that first print, it took 7 hours, 32 minutes. It was this height. And that night, the printer was set up in my room, and I never went to sleep. I just stayed up watching it. I laid on my bed, picked at it, and I was just in amazement as to what was going on, you know. And that was basically it. And from there, we continued printing.
Excellent. Because 3D printing is kind of new to some of us when we read about it and so on, and you hear so much about it, but seeing it, and I think you've had a couple of demonstrations at the exhibition, so people get to see for the first time how 3D printing works, because we're used to printing paper, but 3D is a totally different one. So once you had done the first one, I guess you convinced yourself that there is a business opportunity for you?
Yeah, no turning back. My coins was already invested. Yeah, so I looked at it like as, okay, I'm going to cater this to artists like graphic designers, dentists, architects. Those were the people I first initially thought of, and then when I realized, well, I have a daytime job and that won't work out, I tweaked it to suit my my past environment, which was my workspace office. So I realized I'm someone that always like to see a need or problem and come up with a solution. And I feel like that's why the business, the industry itself, 3D printing, 3D manufacturing, ties in so well with like my passion. Because looking around in my office, I saw, okay, everybody has a phone. Your phone's always on your desk, and it's a distraction every time you have to pick it up to look at it and everything. So light bulb went off. I decided, all right, I'll start printing unique phone stands and selling it in the office. So that way you could have it right next to your computer. It's standing up right next to your computer screen. As soon as a message or phone call goes off, you could glance, look at it, and decide at that point or not whether you want to take it on. So we did that for probably about 4 weeks. And then because of the immense jobs, the machine I had apparently was not well equipped for such workload. So it was like a hobbyist entry-level printer, and in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, it was down because it started requiring certain parts and stuff like that. Things just started going haywire, So that was the first learning curve in many learning curves to come with the 3D printer. But with every challenge or learning curve, it's an opportunity for growth, I look at it as, So we were able to connect with manufacturers because we bought that printer third hand, like from Amazon. I learned my lesson from that. Connect straight to the manufacturer. So, we developed a relationship with them. They diagnosed it for me. Started fiddling with the printer from motherboard to hardware, and eventually I realized it was honestly just a reformatting issue that needed to happen, but learned more about the printer, how to service it and everything, and then they told me it won't work out for what you're trying to do, what you intend on doing, and then they recommended me a printer that was better equipped and that process actually took longer than it was supposed to, because at a certain point, like end of January, they were like, okay, bye, see you in 2-3 weeks. Why? Because the holidays came about, New Year's, so that's about 3 weeks of their time until middle of February. In that time, I was still doing my research, and then by June of 2017, I traveled to the States, got in contact with a company that does 3D printing or manufacturing, went to their studio, and then I was at awe because that's where they had machines lined up, like they call it a print farm. They had about 10, 15, 20 printers just lined up, and like probably triple the amount of material just hanging over them and everything like that. And they just started discussing to me the potential, what they've done, what they can do, what they're looking to do and everything like that. And I was like, wow, and that was when I was like, there's something there. And then when I left now, my father was with me during that trip, and he told me, your biggest challenge is you doesn't be consistent in whatever you start. You start it, and after a while you do something else. And I was a bit offended because he didn't understand. It's not being consistent, it's about transitioning. And that was what it was for me in my prior ventures. I was selling Airheads, Rice Krispies on the Moon. Prior to that, I was doing BlackBerry was in style. So, I was doing phone cases, the housings, memory cards and headphones, and transition.
It was always entrepreneurial. You were always thinking of
business. Yes, definitely.
Excellent. So you were doing your research, your trials, your travel, you had seen exactly what the potential was and so on. Yeah. At what point did you decide, I can do this for a living, I can just take a bold step and do this?
It was 2017 again when I came back down. A month later, I took the recommendation I was given, invested in they call it industrial printer. And I thought like if I could minimize the amount of time, because this time I was taking baby steps into it. So before I was printing every day, and I said, okay, I'll cut it down to only on a weekend, you know, just to preserve the lifespan of the printer. That didn't end up happening. Got a customer of it, started playing it. Fast forward to August, September, met a friend I called today, but he was first, and like my first genuine investor in terms of just being a mentor and a guidance, you know. So he told me about the trade show, Taiwanese St. Lucia Taiwan trade show, in November. Took part in it, the 3 days. We went there, and to be honest, it blew my expectations in regards to the response from the public and the amount of connections we made, orders we placed. Our booth was honestly always packed, you know, and at that point, after that, I was like, nah, after that weekend, I was like, all right, something I have to give. Either I continue what I'm doing today while part-time in the dream, or I sacrifice what I'm doing today to make the dream a reality. And that was it for me, to be honest. After that, I think after that trade show, I went into work the Monday, I resigned the Tuesday. And I went in full time from the Wednesday. But God's so good, right? I was working in hotels before, not really working with them, but trying to get a product in. Right. And that day I resigned was the same day I got a call from a hotel gift store, Landings. They're saying they were interested in actually seeing our keychains, because we had produced like island keychains, map of St. Lucia, but each one had a different icon on it, either the map of St. Lucia or the gecko and stuff like that. You know, so that was a sign for me I was moving in the right direction as well.
I'm just curious, did you run it by your father before you resigned, or you just informed him after you resigned?
No, actually, crazy enough, that day when I sat down at work, I went downstairs and I called my mom, and she had just flew in the day before. And she came in, and then when I called her, I told her like, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, resigning and everything like that. She said like, well, you know, at the end of the day, it's really left up to you, but most importantly, your happiness. If you know you're not happy or comfortable somewhere, do what you need to do. And that was all the confirmation I needed, you know, my mom's support. And then I just went at it after that. Eh? So my father got to know later that evening, and he was like, so you're looking for another job soon?
So once you made the decision and you started, what were some of the key things that you were producing? I know you said you had spoken to the hotel and so on, but what are the items you were producing that was sustaining you as a business?
2017. The main thing that was sustaining me at that time was keychains, to be honest. You know, we started out with like a hard plastic. That's the most common material, and I was just trying to think what would be very relative in the market, people could quickly understand, you know, so it was keychains. So we started printing keychains, and then as we started to penetrate the market with that, more opportunities for other unique items started presenting itself to us, like name badges, small signs, and you know, I was still 2017, yeah. And that's honestly, wow. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was keychains that really sustained us throughout the first year into going full time into the business. You know, so yeah, it was really just that. And then when 1-2 odd jobs or unique jobs come up, we'd take care of it, find a way to take care of it and everything like that. But it was really that.
So you were basically producing orders for, like you mentioned, the hotels and so on, or you had an outlet where you're selling your stuff as well?
No, it was just social media, connecting with different people, various people, and just, you know, getting an opportunity to say, hey, I could do this for you, I could do that for you. You know, we got our keychains into Arm & Morgan Bay, the gift shop. They took it in, and that was an accomplishment for us. So if I'm trending on to 2018, yeah, honestly, it was just customers, friends, different small other businesses, keychains, and stamps. those were the things that was really the money maker, I should say, or the brought in the cash flow.
So, yeah.
Up until May. Well, I'm always thinking a few steps ahead, right? So as soon as 2018 opened, I was like, all right, Carnival coming up, this and that happening. Let me try and, and then I created a relationship with Just for Fun, and I cannot take all the credit because it's me and a team of various people that always pitch in and ideas to me as to, okay, what direction, what course, family members, So it was Just for Fun, actually. We got a relationship with them, and they were interested in us manufacturing keychains for them for the Carnival 2018. And we finalized around April, and the order was for 1,520 keychains. That was for one printer. That was me and one printer. I was a one-man show at the time, and honestly, any job we got, I was saying yes to. So just to get the opportunity to do. And in a month, probably 6 weeks for the most, we were able to manufacture 1,520 keychains, whilst also accommodating other jobs, So that was that until summer of 2018. We started expanding more. So we started doing like cake toppers. An idea, a friend of mine, he told me somebody wants a cake topper, if he could do it. I told him, sure, send it up. We did it, and then started doing cake toppers, keychains, and that was it until end of 2018. We got the opportunity to work with one of the I think ministries for the knowledge fair. They contracted us to fabricate 2 watersheds, a well-kept watershed and a poorly-kept watershed, and we actually infused it with 3D printing. So basically we 3D printed we manufactured the sheds, and then we incorporated livestock, houses, dilapidated, and also trees, vegetation. All of those things just mentioned was 3D printed. And then also we got another opportunity from, I think it was Choiseul or Canneries. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name mixed up right now, but they also made us do a depiction of the jetty area in their community for them, like a scale model view of it and everything. So again, we got that done. So by the end of 2018, we were able to open, with all the revenue generated, we were able to reinvest into our second printer that allowed us to open up our replacement and custom parts aspect of the business, services of the business.
So you can basically do a 3D version of almost anything, any product?
Anything. And that's the amazingly crazy thing about it.
Are you also involved in designing the products, or somebody has to give you a design and you work it from there? How does the process work?
So basically it starts off with our clients or customers having an idea or realizing they have a need for a tangible product, They bring it to us, photo reference, sketch, whatever it may be, or broken, worn out part at home, office, wherever. And then depending on the nature of the job, our designer, he then designs it. It's almost like a graphic designer, but he takes it on from the 2-dimensional phase to a 3-dimensional state. And at that point now, it's now rendered to a point where it could be copied to suit a version that's readable for the printers. So basically, idea, design, prototype, final print, sorry. Yeah, so that's usually the process. Once it's done designing, it's sent to the printer is now set up with the necessary material. It recognizes the file, and then it starts printing from there. Once it's done, we call that final phase post-production. The engineer, alongside our production guy, they assess the part, ensure that it's ideal for the suited job, and then once it's success, again, prototype, they clean it up, package it, and ready to send it out.
Now you keep mentioning we. So you started off as a one-man show, and then you started branching off. Did you incorporate? Did you get partners involved, or did you hire staff? How did you progress from there?
Well, to be honest, I never really thought of clearly like hiring or anything like that. I just thought one day I'd just hire people. It happened sooner than I thought, you know. So I would say we have team members. We have a social enterprise component of the business where we specifically look at hiring persons that are secondary school or tertiary level school graduates, and not necessarily looking to pursue more school education, but more looking to like we'd take them in if they have a genuine interest in the business model. We'd recruit them and see where their strengths and weaknesses are, and basically train them and give them the necessary skills to develop in the business and grow with the company. You know, so right now we have a staffing of 4 of us. So there's our technician / engineer, that's Kristen Tanner. Samuel Hippolyte, he's our administrative assistant / customer rep. And Caleb Brett, who's our youngest junior intern. He's responsible for post-production and photos and stuff like that. And myself, operations manager, like floating head I call myself at times because of my situation,
And so you're able to, so this business is sustainable. You can pay your overheads, meet your overheads, your commitments, and still feel good about the business?
Yeah, by God's grace, we're growing, and to your point earlier about, it being fairly new. When I started, I did not know, like, I was so engrossed in the industry and how it's been rapidly developing overseas, that it's not until I took a step back and started really pushing it in St. Lucia, I realized that we really, like somebody told us last year, we're introducing a business model that's 30 years ahead into an economy that's 30 years behind. So it kind of had us to major learning curve to educate persons as we go along as to what it is and how it could benefit them. But the great thing about it is, again, what I noticed as of recent, it's becoming more and more mainstream. Like everybody, it's like one of the new in style phrases, or because everybody's seen it, everybody's viewing it and everything these days.
Okay, so you have a full range, and I think your range keeps increasing from keychains to name tags, cake toppers, fridge magnets, you plaques and trophies as well.
Yeah.
And during COVID, we noticed you had done face masks as well, so you had face shields as
Face
well.
shields.
So you had gone into that as well. That was an opportunity that COVID gave you.
Very much so. Yeah. We were approached actually. Well, I think we weren't approached initially. They were seeking. We got a notice from a colleague of ours that a doctor was on Facebook asking if there's anybody that does 3D printing in St. Lucia, and then they referred us to them. And in a matter of like within an hour, we were in contact with Dr. Bobre, Dr. Stephen King, and other doctors from Tapia Hospital requesting that is it possible for us to fabricate face shields? And at that point, we were just looking at maximizing our awareness on social media. Not in regards to face shields, because we were still rallying merchandise and stuff like that. And we told them, yeah. As soon as the call hung up, I just got into research mode, started making a few calls overseas, and by the end of the day, and the help of some colleagues and associates overseas, they were able to provide me with the necessary information and tools and software, files to fabricate the face shields locally using using the resources we had on hand. So. We were able to manufacture 3D printer headbands. We bought fabric from the local sewing stores in St. Lucia for the elastic, and for some time we started using local manufacturer for the clear part. And again, opportunity for growth and everything like that, because the learning curve in that was, we realized at a certain point the face shields were not long lasting as we intended because of one component in it, which was the perspex. Well, two actually, because again, that material we were using initially was not ideal, you know. So between COVID happened to affected us in March, between March to end of April was prototyping for us, you know, retrofitting it and everything. May, June, July is when we started equipping ourselves with the better, more appropriate resources and material. So throughout that time period, keep in mind we're prototyping in April, gathering out the necessary tools in April, May, June, and we like, it was unintentional because at first when we assembled it, it was looking good, so we were selling it, but whilst persons were calling us back and letting us know, hey, it snapped and this and that, you know, we call them back and then we allow them to know that, you know, we're going to replace it for them and everything like that. So June, July, August, we were manufacturing, replacing, selling. So it was a challenging, but it was worth it. By end of August, we were fortunate enough to have, you know, sold like 500 units to Ministry of Health, and also private sector workers, service sector workers like barbers, restaurants, and we did a total of about 1,000 plus. You know, even you guys contributed, like bought from us as well, you know. So we did like 1,000 plus face shields in that amount of time, in that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the business responding to an opportunity as like COVID, and I suppose, and in your case now, I notice you also do replacement parts, which is critical for quite a lot, even in our business, because the amount of plastic that we use, things get broken and so on. So how much of an opportunity is there, and can you replace almost any part?
Yeah, we can, so long as it's what a lot of people, and I'm putting myself in this as well. What we fail to realize is that a huge part of equipment, tools, fixtures, fittings, whatever it may be, it has a plastic component in it. Even though it doesn't look like plastic, it's some grade of plastic. It's just either how it's polished, finished, or whatever the case may be. And in our studies, realized, all right, well, we definitely can do mostly anything from a worn-out blender part, a button, a stove knob, any household item, to your garden, outdoor appliances or equipment. If you're in your machine shop or an office, you know, from time it looks like it's about to break, it's worn out, it's even a mismatching part, right? Let's say, for example, you have an item like it has a leg, two legs, one leg breaks, and you only have the left leg. It's just an example, eh? You bring it for us, we can not just design and print the same left one, but we could actually make it to suit. We have an option called mirroring. So the left side, we could mirror it to look like the right side. So long as we design the left, we could print the right for you. So you could take the left side, you could bring us the left side or the right of any component, whichever it is, and say, hey, I'm missing the left or right, and we could, with the part given to us, we could actually remodel it and make that missing part for you. So our business model can be utilizing basically any industry within the economy, from a corporate standpoint, where you could utilize our services for like merchandising, keychains, what do you call it, bottle openers, fridge magnets, badges and stuff like that, all the way to, let's say, a mechanic, a chef, a pastry chef, where you could do cookie cutters, cake toppers, anything like that, and as well as like even the household person that may feel like this doesn't apply to me, it does in the event that your stove knob is broken, it's worn out, or it could be even a leg of your chair, you know, your sofa chair. For some reason or whatever the strange case may be, it breaks, we could replace that. Your ironing board, we had a client last year that brought us one ironing board peg. They said the rest broken off, and they realized that only because that they called it, well, someone living with them had scotch tape it together, but the scotch tape started unraveling. So we then designed one and just 3D printed the remaining 4 for them. Well, yeah, replaced all 4 for them for the ironing board legs. And then somebody brought an umbrella for us last year. Same person.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, the little pins that's at the end.
Yeah.
I think 2 was cracked and already broken. He said, it's a good umbrella. It's just that thing, you know. Why go for the hassle of buying a whole new one and thing? So, you know, again, the challenge, we accepted it. We did it and replaced all 8 of them for him. You know, so in doing that, you're actually saving saving money, because, you know, in a fridge part we did last year, it was a stem to hold up the motor for the fridge to keep it cool and everything like that. The technician told the client that, you know, because that's broken, the fridge is no good because it cannot hold up. So then she remembered us. So she contacted us. Her technician brought everything for us, told us the problem, and then our technician, engineer, he remodeled a new frame or bracket to mount the blade, the fan motor on, and he made it even better because the AC technician, he said he realized the old one, it would have it hanging. So after some time it would just start vibrating, so we made it in a way that it actually breaks it down everything. And he said, "Monsieur," he was impressed by that, you know. So it saves you like a fraction of whatever you'd spend in buying a new one, you know, and it will expand the lifespan of whatever that item or product or good is, you know, which will also do good on the environment as well.
Yeah, definitely, because we have a lot of, even in our business, we do have little plastic things that get broken, and so on. So, and almost every household has it. So, and I must show that you've done this keyring for us, the Calabash keyring, and I'm really excited and proud of this. and there's so many other things you do. This is for books.
Oh yeah, yes. Or paperwork documents. And
yeah, so you can, like a clip and so on. And plus there can be a little branding at the top as well, so you can put the name of your business at the top. So there's so many things that you have. So persons who, and I know you mentioned social media a couple of times, persons who are interested in getting to find out what it is that you're offering, look at your catalog and so on, where can they find you online?
Well, they could Google us, Real 3D Printing. They could find us on Facebook and Instagram at r.3dprinting_758, or from time you type in r3dprinting_, everything comes up. And you could also call us, and our WhatsApp number is the same, 519-8070, and email us at real3dprint@gmail.com. That's REAL, the number 3, the letter D, print, PRINT @gmail.com.
3D printing is definitely here to stay. I was reading up something recently on the Mars colony, trying to set up, you know, a colony on Mars, and they were saying once you have a 3D printer and a few other things, you're pretty good, because you can make everything with a 3D printer. You have to actually bring your furniture or bring anything. Once you have a 3D printer, then you can build a whole colony as well. So there's there is endless potential. Kayode, we're really happy that you gave us the time to speak with you.
Much appreciated.
And I'm sure there's a lot of exciting things that you're working on at the moment.
For sure.
Feel free to reach out to us so we can talk about it.
No problem.
We've seen you grow from, you know, that Taiwan exhibition, and we look at the amazing amount of stuff that you're doing now.
Yeah.
And that you're a self-employed entrepreneur, and plus you, like you say, you've hired 4 people, so that means you contributed to national development as well. And your business model is quite unique, and I hope more people study your business model, especially your hiring practices and so on.
Yeah.
So we can make sure that youth from across the board are able to find avenues to express themselves and so on. But Kayode, we're really proud of what you do.
Thank you very much.
Keep doing it and keep us in the loop. Let us know what's going on.
For sure. Thanks again for having me. It's been a pleasure.